hear from the agricultural experts who support the decision to immediately ban the export of grains to address the drought effects.
There's nothing wrong with it. I support it because when your house is burning, you're looking at what you can do to save yourself. And that is an international fact because you cannot be thinking of others, not yourself. You should think about yourself first. If you cannot get food to feed your family, how can you get part to give to me?
But the farmers are unhappy with this directive amid arguments.
For onions and tomatoes. Or if you do this and they are to retaliate, who will feel the impact? So we think that government has the shortage of rice, the shortage of soybean. Then we rather rely on Burkina, Mali, is there for onions and tomatoes. So if you do this and they are to retaliate, who will feel the impact? So we think that government has rushed in taking that decision.
Tonight, we interrogate the issues on what this drought means for the country's food security and take you up north for the latest on this development. And also in this broadcast, Tuesday's Parliament's near scare leads to safety concerns over state of firefighters in the country. We will shortly hear from the Bureau of Public Safety, who wants urgent logistics to be provided to the service.
So in the interim, whilst we wait for the report from the fire service to ascertain what really caused the fire, then we will know exactly how the public can also go about in terms of reducing it. By the interim, government needs to support the fire service with the equipment that they need to help them in fighting fires of that sort, and also educating the public when it comes to emergencies of that nature.
We have the latest on that inferno, which gutted parts of the Job 600 office complex. And later in this broadcast, NDC threatens overhaul of Ghana's security services as it blames President Akufo-Addo and Vice President Bawumia the current inefficiency on the parts of service personnel.
For the past almost 8 years, we have our nation in the hands of leaders without integrity. And the consequences are the mess we are witnessing across the sectors. The security sector, not an exception. If President Akufo-Addo and Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia were men in uniform, ladies and gentlemen, I can assure you, at least by now, they would have been interdicted for bringing the name of Ghana into disrepute.
And later on the campaign trail, lost as to how to spot a liar, well, it seems former President Mahama has an idea.
You know how to tell when somebody is lying. If there are people who are smooth talkers, who can speak rat-tat-tat-tat-tat like machine gun. The time when they become stammerers and they start stammering, you know they are lying.
We will later sit for a conversation with the flag bearer hopeful of the newly formed People's National Party, Janet Nabla. We have the details of these and many other stories coming up in this broadcast. Do stay.
Starr News is coming to you live on Ultimate 106.9 FM in Kumasi, Empire 102.7 FM in Takoradi, Cool 103.5 FM in Ho, Rage and Might FM in Tamale, Somali FM in Wa, My Star Radio in the USA. Also live on Facebook on Starr 103.5 FM and on starfm.com.gh around the world. This is Starr 103.5 FM.
Thank you very much for your time this evening. This bulletin is streaming on our Facebook page at Starr 103.5 FM. Now, the dry spell being witnessed up north is threatening the country's food security. The attendant effect of the drought has led to drastic measures from the government in a bid to address the looming food crisis. Now, during a press conference on Monday, Minister for Food and Agriculture, Brian Champong, announced an immediate ban on the export of grains. He explained that the ban was to ensure the availability of crops for the domestic market amid the challenging weather conditions.
In response to the phenomenon, the government is taking immediate actions to address the situation. In the medium to long term, government expects the sector to develop resilience to these climatic conditions as it rolls out more irrigation and water management schemes. The immediate interventions from now to January 2025. The following measures have been approved by government for implementation by the ministry to avert a food security crisis. With immediate effect, government is placing a ban on the export of grains, including maize, rice, soya bean, until the situation normalizes. This measure is essential to ensure the availability of these critical crops on the domestic market. Any farmer with stock and interested in selling should contact our district directorates across the country, our district aggregators, or the Directorate of Crops, Ministry of Agriculture. This is to ensure that farmers do not suffer adversely from this ban. As earlier mentioned,
You just heard the Minister for Food and Agriculture, Dr. Brian Champong. Now, government's decision has generated mixed reactions, with some farmers unhappy with the move. Now, the Executive Director of the Peasant Farmers Association of Ghana, Charles Naba, believes the move may not yield the desired results.
Other part that I have serious concern has to do with the quick measure that government take to ban export of certain commodities without actually doing proper analysis to know the commodities that are affected, to know the total crop budget of the farmer, for us to agree on fixed price. We say this because when things like this happen, you don't only look at one side, you also look at the impact on the producer. Last year and last 2 years, when Ghana restricted movement of certain commodities, the domestic market could not give farmers competitive pricing. It takes soya beans, you take maize, you take rice, for instance. They were offering prices that if farmers were to take those prices, they were going to run into a complete loss and they wouldn't be able to continue to produce this year. So what happened was that we approached the ministry to tell them that, look, this is what's happening. So we think that the best government can do is to go to retail and mob the commodities with a good price so that farmers will remain in business, and then this year they continue to produce. They didn't listen to us. They didn't amend, less than amend, fortunately for us. The Burkina Faso came, the Togolese came, they paid prices 2 times the prices that we were even from government. So that is what made us be able to produce now. If you take soya beans that they are banning, the domestic soya bean processors have no capacity to make soya beans. So if you ban, and then you don't put measures in place to ensure that your domestic consumers or processors are able to buy and process, it means that farmers are going to hold on to these products, and once they are not getting market, it will affect production in the coming season. Besides that, at the moment, Ghana is not exporting anything. There's shortage of meat, there's shortage of rice, there's shortage of soybean. Then we rather rely on Burkina, Mali, is there for onions and tomatoes. Or if you do this and they are to retaliate, who will feel the impact?
Charles Naba is the president of the Peasant Farmers Association of Ghana. Let's now go live to the northern parts of the country, specifically the Dafiama-Buisi Issa district, and touch base with some farmers over there. We've been joined over the phone lines by Lowy Bonzo Vincent, who is the district's local focal person of the peasant farmers there. Thank you very much, sir, for your time. Now, how is this drought situation impacting on your crop yields?
Yeah, thank you very much for putting me on your platform to discuss on this drought issue that is tough. Our people over the Dafiama-Buisi that they are suffering. Most important, the northern sector. Yeah. In fact, this year drought for Upper West here is very, very terrible for us, particularly in DDI, for our members. So almost all our farmers, they are crying. So it's even this day that is even better. So those days, farmers will go to the farm and come back and be crying. Even some to the extent that some people, their BP, they have sent to the hospital for order to manage their BP. It's a very terrible issue in Upper West, that DPI. It's very, very, very serious.
I see, but I need to understand how dire the drought situation is up north.
Yes, yeah. For here at that time, it takes almost 2 months, no rain. Farmers plow their farm. They plow those who plow early, who farm early. The crops are even going to the fruiting stage. No rain. Those who planted the seed couldn't germinate. And a lot. Even plant a place, you can't plant. It's the whole over 2 months plus there is no rain. The whole place was dry. If you got to your farm, if you even strike a matches and put there, it will burn. You strike a matches and put in the farm, it will burn. So it was really pathetic. It was really pathetic, actually.
See, and how many farmers have been affected by this dry spell? And how many hectares of land are we talking about?
Yeah, for us here, we are not able to capture all the districts, entire district. So our membership, that's the Peasant Farmers Association. So we can talk about our own. There are about 800 farmers that have been registered official with PFAC, Peasant Farmers in the district. So these are the data that we are having. But we represent the entire farmers in the district. A lot of them, we couldn't even get the data. So now we are still compiling the list. But for now, we can talk about 800 farmers or our members that are being affected by the list. And then they go beyond the peasant farmers. Everybody, most of them, about 90% of the farmers in DBI is being affected.
Now, the Minister for Food and Agriculture, Honorable Brian Champong, has highlighted a number of measures that the government has instituted to lessen the effects of the current dry spell on farmers. I mean, how do you respond to this?
Yes, in fact, Ghana, the problem that we are having now, we like big English and then grammar, but it's not working. It's not helping us. The big grammar and the English is not helping us. Yeah, what is it? It's a very valuable idea, a policy that they are bringing. If really this one is coming to the rightful people, affected people, farmers, it's going to ease their burden small. But they will set all these things and at the end of the day, it will not work.
But also, the government is proposing that he gives 1,000 Ghana cedis per hectare to the most vulnerable affected farmers there. I mean, is that enough?
This one is not enough. It's not enough. But as to what they said, it will get to the rightful affected person. It will get to a place and end there. We only heard about this, but it's not work. It will not work. That's our fear. If only it really works, it's not enough, but it will ease the burden. It will ease the pressure. It will reduce the BP that is affecting many farmers in the district or in Ghana in the northern sector as a whole. That's the problem.
If this proposal from government will not be the ultimate solution, what then are you looking for government to do for you specifically to sort of deal with this issue holistically?
Yeah, to deal with this one, we are all the time people on for us to move into the irrigation farming. If the dams are there, we can supplement that one with the farmers. The best solution is for them to make a dam available to the farmers so that the dry season, we can use that one. With this one, when it's we can use that one to help, to support. But without this one and all the time, every year that when there's drought, they will bring money and then come and look at the economy now. So are we waiting when there's drought or when there's anything, so they'll go and find money somewhere to come and do? How long are they going to continue with this one? The best thing is for us to make the dams available for us so that we can make good use of the dams to plant, to cater for ourselves. That is it.
Thank you very much for speaking to us. Lowe Bonzo Vincent is the district's focal person of the peasant farmers in the Dafiama-Buisi Issa district. Now, but the opposition NDC has described the move as counterproductive. Harry Yamson is the NDC's spokesperson on agriculture. Take a listen to him.
I think it's rather disturbing news for all of us. If we are going to ban agricultural exports from countries that depend on us, similarly, they can also respond. And that is not good for trade. It is not good for politics. It's not good for diplomacy. Now, to the point of the steps taken yesterday, we have known, government has known at least since April that the rainfall pattern was off and there was a likelihood of a negative impact on farmers. And absolutely nothing was done. That speaks a lot about the focus of government to start with. Secondly, we are not going to spend $10.5 billion of unplanned expenditure and without any real systems in place. So that's another risk of waste that we are confronting. It also, none of the announcements also address the issue of food supply. Indeed, the finance minister has signaled we are going to possibly have to increase our import bill for food. So we're going to pay farmers for something we could have prevented, because we could have taken action much earlier in April, May, and June to prevent this situation. Now we will have to support the farmers and also find money to import food. So all around, the bill is not going to be $10.5 billion.
Professor Harry Jansen is the NDC spokesperson on agriculture. Now, an agriculture expert, Professor Roger Canton, has, however, backed the decision to ban the export of grains with immediate effect to mitigate the impact of the drought. And he joins us for a conversation on the back of this. Prof, thank you very much for your time this evening. Now, you have backed the calls for the ban on the export of grains, but farmers believe that this move is counterproductive. What do you make of this?
You ask those farmers who are saying that it's counterproductive, ask them when COVID came and India decided not to allow rice to be exported, Ukraine and Russia, what was their plight? I want you to ask those farmers. You see, every country, like, let me give you an example. You and your family, there is an issue of you don't even have. So how can you give what you don't have? The Bible says, love your neighbor as yourself, not you love your neighbor more than yourself. These are not normal times. In any case, who is even interested in them exporting meat or soya beans to them? If times are normal, yes, we revert back to the normalcy. For now, this is a nationalistic and a patriotic attempt by government. Any responsible government will do exactly what they have done. An irresponsible, clueless, and a government that is not caring about her citizens will do otherwise.
I mean, Prof, but the explanation the farmers are given is the fact that, we also export other grains from other parts of other African countries. And if those countries decide to ban exportation of produce into Ghana, how will we cope? Don't you think their concerns are legitimate?
How are they legitimate? What do we import from other African countries? It's just only tomato and onions. That is all. What else do we import from them? We have been exporting maize and soya beans to Burkina, Ivory Coast, and all those countries. We don't import anything from them. And my question is, when ECOWAS had issues with Niger and Burkina and Mali, virtually they were not sending tomato and onion. Yes, things initially were hard, but we were able to cope. In fact, this could even be a better mechanism to let us re-identify ourselves and go ahead with it. After all, in the 1980s, there was this famine around 1983. There was nothing was working. But Ghanaians being so ingenious, were able to cope with about almost a year or two. And we were able to go back to the basics. So I don't think these are just hypotheses people are just trying to make. You see, the problem of this country is when issues like this come, we should come together as a nation, devoid of any parochial, individual grouping interest. Let us come together. Yes, we have been confronted with an issue. What is the way forward? Any reasonable person will do what the government have implemented. Let us go ahead with it. It's not the first time. It has happened. Nigeria did it. Ivory Coast did it. Several African Egypt did it. Senegal did it. It just have to be what you look at your interest. We should be prepared. America has been doing it. European Union has been doing it. Banning exportation of certain goods to other countries. Even America and Europe, who are the best friends, sometimes do disagree. And they place embargoes on certain goods. China has been doing it all the time. So it is normal. This is just a temporal measure. Very soon, after a couple of months, things normalize. When we see that we are beyond the threshold, they can open it up. We did it before. Dr. Akoto did it 2-3 years back before. And when things were okay, they opened the floodgate and things went to normalcy. So please, they should bear with us. That's my appeal to
all those people. And I will tell Brian Achampon, he should never renege on that particular point. We are behind him. He should stick with it. He should never ever change that particular clause.
Right, Prof. Now, the government also plans to give 1,000 cities per hectare to the most vulnerable affected in this development. Do you think that 1,000 Ghana cities will do anything significant for the farmers?
That one is peanut. It's a drop in the ocean and totally unacceptable and regrettable. That I do not agree. As an agronomist, our farms are in Tumu, Susana East Municipal. They're very 14 miles from Tumu. I have about almost 7 acres there. If I tell you the production crop budget for an acre, not a hectare, an acre, ranges between 3,000 to 4,000. So how do you give 2,000 to a farmer for a hectare? And don't forget, if you need an acre, the person will be getting, if somebody gets an acre, getting a paltry 300 or even less. So I think for that one, I think the minister should come again. I think he should readjust it, at least make it at least 2,000 to me, at least, even though that will not be the best. But I will plead with him to reconsider that. That one is unacceptable.
Prof, thank you very much for your time this evening. Professor Roger Canton is an agricultural expert.
Starr today, first, fast, and credible.
You're still listening to Starr today. Let's do some other stories now. And Tuesday's near scare at Ghana's Parliament House has led to public concerns over the state of firefighters in the country. This comes after fire gutted parts of the Job 600 office complex building this morning. Now, the staff of Parliament were sent home following the fire outbreak. The fire, which took place at the floor housing of Parliament's archives, department took firefighters more than an hour to douse. Parliamentary Affairs correspondent Ibrahim Alassan in a special report weeks ago had thrown light on how ill prepared the legislature for any fire incidents is.
How long will it take for the sick fire tender to return here to be on standby to protect the lives of parliamentarians, workers of parliament, and everybody who comes to parliament? Should we experience another fire outbreak that's of a higher magnitude than what was witnessed in July 2017? Okay. My quest for information about the lingering questions on my mind. One has got to do with the fire engine that is missing completely in Parliament, and then also the entrance to Job 600, which is quite shorter than the average height of a turntable that is used by the National Fire Service. Well, when I went to the fire service post here in Parliament, the officers there, including the commander, directed me to the regional fire command. So on we go to the Greater Accra Regional Fire Command for answers. I wish me luck. Just behind me is the fire engine that services the Parliament of Ghana. And as you can see, the head is tilted, signaling that there is some works being done. Of course, as we were told earlier, this engine was faulty, and so we had to come for servicing. Of course, the head is tilted. This is at the Greater Accra Regional Fire Service Command, basically. So I'll engage the regional fire officer and then get to understand exactly what has been done. We can see that there's some work being done. Just tell us exactly what's happening.
The Parliament vehicle was brought in. We worked on it, it went, and other faults came up. So it was brought back. Our men have worked on it. But hearing an unusual sound, we preferred bringing in some specialized people who are specialized with the commis engine, just to help us identify what the issue is. The gentleman was working on the car. Then there was an emergency at Arcade Fire Station, and the towing car we had here had to go and perform a service. It came back with some defects. So looking at the issues, we will need this recovery track should any of our vehicles be faulty. So we ask that the specialist who is working on the Parliament car should please suspend. And I think he started with this other one 2 days ago.
That was my colleague Ibrahim Alassan with that report there. But speaking to Starr News, Chief Fire Officer Julius Kuno disclosed investigations had commenced to establish the cause of the incident.
We had a call at 10:15. We dispatched an appliance that was from the headquarters to the police. And when we got here, we realized that there was an initial problem with water. We have that hydrant here, but the pressure was low. So we had to quickly, call 2 appliances for the sake of water supply. And it's in the second floor where this old archives are now put there. And currently the fire is under control. We are only doing cooling at the place. So we've used 1 hour, 60 minutes to be able to extinguish the fire. So.
How challenging was the work in putting out this blaze? How challenging was it for your officers?
Yeah, the place was so smoky, and we had to use the breathing apparatus, and that was what helped us a lot. We had enough, so we were able to go to the seat of the fire.
What are your preliminary findings? What is it pointing to?
We are yet to know the cause of the fire. Investigations has begun, and we'll come out with the cause of the fire in due course.
This is not the first time we are recording a fire incident on the same complex. How concerning is that?
Yes, fire, we can never predict. Anything can happen. So you should not doubt that. That's why you have all kinds of things there. Anything could happen to cause fire.
We are aware that the fire tender station here in Parliament has developed some fault, is undergoing servicing. When is it returning?
Oh, very soon. Within the week, it will return. Fortunately, we have stations around to cover the place. So there's no problem.
Finally, there is this request from your end that this arc, the main entrance to the job system, it must go because it's too short for your average fire turntable when you have to fight blaze on the higher floors. How soon should this arc go?
It should not go. We have better, appliances. Fortunately, government procured us 2 hydraulic platforms. They can even go to the 16th to 17th floor. So we have hydraulic platform. But because we are in the 2nd floor, we didn't need any hydraulic platform or turntable ladder here.
I was talking about the entrance because the hydraulic platform will have to enter the job 600. The entrance here?
No? Oh, you mean the entrance?
Yes.
All right. That may be the challenge, but we normally pass through other sources. It's not only through here. We can go through the back to get access to the place.
Well, you just heard my colleague Ibrahim Alassan engaging the Chief Fire Officer, Julius Kuno. And Abi is actually in the studio with me, and he's just from the scene of the incident. And so he's going to give us the latest on that development. Abi, thank you very much for your time this evening. Tell us what happened in Parliament today.
Well, so today is a regular day in Parliament because the House is on recess. So members of Parliament, with the exception of those who have committee meetings, and there was a committee, the Government Assurance Committee, chaired by Samuel Tutuwaa, a member of Parliament for Northton, had showed up, and they had actually started working. And then the lights went out. So there were many people who were also in the office complex, Job 600, who just realized that they had lost power supply to the complex. Some of them did not bother coming out to find out what was happening, so they were still stuck in the office. Others did, only for them to come to the realization that there was a fire outbreak on a floor between the first and then the second one. If you are familiar with Job 600, you realize that after the first floor, you climb 1 floor before you make your way to a conference room called the James Annan office complex. That's where the archives is. The archival department of Parliament. That was where the fire started. And because the place contained, obviously, papers it became challenging for the fire officers. Those who were able to realize that this was what was happening were evacuated. But one thing that we all noticed was that per our engagement with those who were there, the fire alarm did not sound. So the fire alarm did not go off to prompt people. So as at the time, after they had been able to douse the blaze, there were still people who did not know about what was happening, and they were still in the office complex.
The office complex,
yes,
right.
Some had to be called on phone before they realized what was happening, and they came down. And so, of course...
does that seek to suggest that a fire alarm may be faulty?
It obviously, you heard the chief fire officer talk about the fact that they had even challenged with water, and that was because the fire hydrant did not have the needed pressure to be able to pump the water for the activities of the fire personnel. And so, yes, there were challenges, obviously, and of course, adding to the fact that Parliament did not have a standby fire tender because it's been faulty, and you heard him assure that within a week, that fire tender must be expected to come back. But what happened eventually was that Speaker gave a directive that all workers must go home. Yeah, because there's a need for the fire service to investigate the cause of the blaze. As we speak, that has not been conclusively determined. Even the extent of damage has not been established as of yet. So they were asked to go home. And so I have in my hand a statement from Parliament about today's incident. Yes, of course. And it's from the Public Affairs Subdivision of Parliament of Ghana. And it says an office on the mezzanine floor, and that's the floor between the first and then the second floor of the 600 building of Parliament, caught fire today. The fire was quickly contained by the National Fire Service. Parliament would like to assure the public that there were no casualties, although the extent of damage is yet to be determined. Parliament is grateful to the Ghana National Fire Service for the prompt response to the incident. The clerk to Parliament, in consultation with the Right Honourable Speaker, has directed that as a precautionary measure, all members of Parliament, staff, should vacate the presence of Parliament and return tomorrow, and that's Wednesday, 28 August 2024. A skeletal staff are, however, to be opposed to deal with exigencies. Yes, so all the members of Parliament and then the workers of Parliament were asked to go home. Yes, as a result of
so what happens to the committee sessions that have been ongoing?
Well, so when the incident happened, the committee then decided to suspend sitting and then return.
That is just for today?
Yes.
What about the
subsequent ones? Initially, they had mentioned that they were going to return at 3 p.m. But as it is the case, it didn't happen. So tomorrow, the committee will also return and then carry on with its activities.
Do they have the assurance that the place will be safe for the activities to be carried out tomorrow?
Yes. When you look at the committee room 1, 2, and 3, that is a detached office from where the fire incident took place. And so, yes, indeed, the hearing and the meeting of the committee can take place safely.
But I mean, despite the fact that they may be saved, you said they were also affected by the power outage, right?
Yes, and that was a precautionary measure. Once there's a fire outbreak, the first precaution is to put out the power connection. So that was what was done. Subsequently, after the fire had been doused and then the heat had been cooled, because at the point they were just pouring water on that part of the building just to cool the things that had heated. And then I'm sure subsequently they will do some tests to find out whether the integrity of the structure itself has been affected before they give the go-ahead. So the place that is affected directly will be cordoned off. Nobody will be allowed access because investigations are ongoing. But the other less affected parts will be open to business.
Right. Ibi, thank you very much for those updates there. Ibrahim Alasan is our parliamentary affairs correspondent, giving us up to speed on what exactly happened in Parliament, where some parts of the Job 600 office complex was gutted in fire. Now, you're still listening to Starr today here on Starr FM, and the National Democratic Congress has threatened an overhaul of Ghana's security services if it wins the upcoming December polls. According to the party, President Akufo-Addo and Vice President Bawumia are to be blamed for the challenges bedeviling the security institutions. The party accuses the government of reneging on its promises to the men and women in uniform. The NDC spokesperson on security and MP for Wa West, Peter Lanchene-Tobu, has been outlining some of the goodies the party has for the security sector in its 2024 manifesto. Take a listen.
If you don't take security serious, I don't see why we should take it serious and allow you to lead the country. We will control the proliferation of small arms and light weapons. We will clear the backlog of promotions and ensure timely promotions based on meritocracy and transparency. For the men and women in uniform, if you do anything and it is all about their promotions, take it serious. They don't care what you do for them. It doesn't matter what you do for them. If it affects their promotion negatively, you will never be forgiven. But we are going to do that respecting meritocracy and competence. We will prioritize the welfare of serving and retired personnel of our security agencies. We will harmonize and address disparities in salaries, remuneration, and other conditions of service across the security agencies. We will review and enforce the medical package for serving and retired personnel and their families. We will review compensation packages for personnel who lose their lives or get injured in the line of duty. We will revamp the police public order management training school in Palawu, roll out a transparent police education and scholarship scheme, and introduce state-of-the-art technology for police operations. Policing is a science, and we need to understand that security itself is becoming more complicated than we understand, and we need to study it seriously as a country. Change the name of the Ghana Prison Service to the Ghana Correctional Service, and modernize prison service to make it humane. Changing the name is not mere changing nomenclature. We are changing the philosophy of the prison service. That from 2025, when we put people, when we convict people, we are going to send them to correctional centers and not prisons. I don't want anybody in Ghana to go to a prison again. I want everybody to go to a correctional center. That when we implement Operation Recover All Loot, and you are even jailed, we will send you to go and be corrected, to go and be reformed, so that you'll be useful to society. Ladies and gentlemen, we are going to create well-equipped technical and vocational department in all major prisons, and that is the purpose. It's a reform center. It's not a punishment center. At least deterrence is enough if you don't even see your family. But you don't go there and come back and become worse off. You go and steal a cow or a goat, and you go back and come back and you graduate into an armed robber. That is not the way to go. We need to let that place be a correctional center. So the change of name is the change of philosophy. We will establish the NADMO Fund as enshrined in the NADMO Act for 2016. Fully implement the 2015 Supreme Court ruling and the recommendation of the Constitutional Review Commission. We will facilitate the construction of a customs hospital for serving and retired officers of the Ghana Revenue Authority. Ladies and gentlemen, as the National Communication Officer said, security people, we don't speak much. In conclusion, the security of our nation, listen to this, the security of our nation cannot be entrusted into the hands of a person who cannot be trusted. Warren Buffett, an American philosopher, philanthropist, and businessman, once said, in looking for people to hire, please be guided by 3 qualities. 1, integrity. 2, intelligence. And 3, energy. He said, without integrity, the other 2 will kill you. For the past almost 8 years, we have our nation in the hands of leaders without integrity. And the consequences are the mess we are witnessing across the sectors. The security sector, not an exception. If President Akufo-Addo and Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia were men in uniform, ladies and gentlemen, I can assure you, at least by now, they would have been interdicted for bringing the name of Ghana into disrepute. Our proud men and women in uniform know the difference between the NDC and the MPP. The difference between the presidential candidates of the great NDC and the MPP is clearer now than before. It is not news that morale amongst our men and women in uniform is always high anytime the NDC is in power. Thank you all, and may God bless.
You just heard Peter Lanchan-Itobu, the Member of Parliament for Wa West, and the NDC's spokesperson on security. Now, also the NDC spokesperson on education and MP for Busa South, Dr. Clement Apak, ridiculed concerns about the source of funding for the party's ambitious education programs.
John Mahama NDC administration will do the following in the tertiary sector. We will implement a non-academic fees policy for all first-year students in all public tertiary institutions. For the sake of clarity, this would include universities, technical universities, colleges of education, as well as nursing training colleges. We would also provide free tertiary education for all persons with disability. We would provide and implement a free bed for all program by building on-campus and affordable student hostels and expanding accommodation facilities for tertiary students through PPP schemes. We will also provide trainee teachers and nurses with allowances, student loans, and other diverse funding opportunities for them to be able to survive and thrive during their training. In addition, we will revamp the Student Loan Trust Fund to increase loan amounts based on a needs assessment and ensure prompt disbursements. We will introduce legislation to usher in a new era of government scholarship administration, which would prohibit the award of scholarships to government officials and streamline scholarships across multiple sectors to do away with the current uncoordinated and indeed corrupt regime. We will decollateralize the GET Fund and restore it to its original mandate of educational financing.
Well, you just heard the member of Parliament for Buisi Isa Clement Apaga. And the largest opposition NDC is requesting an emergency meeting with the Electoral Commission over the voter exhibition exercise in a letter signed by the NDC's General Secretary, Fifi Kwete. The party says its analysis of the provisional voter register given to the party by the Commission reveals very serious discrepancies discovered during the ongoing 2024 voter exhibition exercise. Let's go over the phone lines now and engage the Deputy General Secretary in charge of operations for the NDC, Mustafa Agbande. Mustafa, thank you very much for your time. So what discrepancies are you talking about?
Thank you very much, and good evening to your cherished listeners. I think that basically discrepancies that span from an analysis between the provisional voters register that was supplied to the various political parties as far as NDC is concerned, and then the register that the Electoral Commission itself made available to every polling station for the purposes of voter verification, or if you call it exhibition. We have discovered this huge, fundamental, primary inaccuracies and discrepancies that have a tendency to undermine the credibility of any voter register that will, arise as a result of this process. I'll draw your attention to one of the icebergs. 2 days ago, some 34 individuals had their name transferred from Tamale South to Pusiga constituency without the knowledge, without their consent, without them ever transferring their votes. And so, without being malicious, one would think that these are administrative inaccuracies that can be corrected. There are many, many other issues where in time we've discovered that some voter transferred individuals appear in the register, but you cannot trace their source where they have transferred the votes from. And so at the back of this conversation, we believe that the Electoral Commission is still in charge, mandated, fortified with law, to be able to correct some of these things. That is why, within our rights as a political party, we are requesting audience and requesting an emergency IPAC. We know that the fact PP is either they believe that the inaccuracies and the discrepancies favor them. That is why they are quiet.
See, Mustafa, but when exactly did you notice these discrepancies that you talk about?
As far as we are concerned, you remember the challenges that we had with the Electoral Commission requesting that they should supply us provisional voter register in accordance with law within time for us to be able to analyze, so that the exhibition exercise can start smoothly. The Electoral Commission didn't do that. We have spoken that we found out that they even gave MPP access to this data long enough, and they were using it to do voter profiling. So why would you give other political parties for the purposes of the exhibition? And so after that, we began to do analysis. The NDC has a whole team, back office, that analyzes this, and we have discovered the inaccuracies and then the discrepancies. But we believe that the Electoral Commission is still responsible for this. That is why we want to get to the Electoral Commission first, put our evidence and all the details to discussion. Then we can come to the public
to discuss these matters. We don't want to have the issues addressed in a court of public opinion. We believe that the Electoral Commission should hear some of the issues that we are raising, address it at IPAC level. We don't want Electoral Commission to support the NDP or help the NDP to rig an election. We want fair election. We want transparent and credible election that reflects the mandate and the will of the people.
Right.
So,
you have written to the EC requesting an emergency meeting over these issues that you have raised. Have you heard from the EC?
Yes. We have not yet heard from the EC, but I believe that these are cogent, very paramount issues that no Electoral Commission will put deaf ears to a political party invoking its right to call for an emergency meeting over these all important conversations. I believe that the Commission will favorably respond and organize an emergency IPAC. They don't need a budget to Parliament to organize an emergency IPAC. And so there shouldn't be any difficulty. It's a matter of just fixing a date, and political parties will make themselves available. So I don't think that the Electoral Commission will downplay the importance of this meeting. But
thank you very much. Thank you very much for your
time.
time this evening. Mustafa Agbande is the Deputy General Secretary of the NDC in charge of operations.
Starr Today. First, fast, and credible.
Now, about 67.5% of young men and women who participated in the Youth and Opportunity Transformation in Africa YOTA survey aspire to be self-employed, while a number of them want to travel outside to pursue their education. Lead researcher with the organization, Dr. Thomas Yeboah, highlighted the dynamics of the report and also gave some recommendations to policymakers during a media engagement in Accra. Take a listen.
The fact that a lot of the young people were looking at establishing themselves as entrepreneurs or self-employed, what it means is that the atmosphere or the climate for businesses to thrive has to be there. Access to power, access to financial credit, access to skills training. A lot of interventions are being done, but still a lot of young people do not have access. So if we can expand these access to resources to enable the young people establish themselves, skills training is very important. Business management training is very important, and then also access to all forms of resources that can enable an entrepreneur to thrive. Those were the recommendations we put forward to government. And for donors, we were saying that if they are funding anything that has to do with young people, they need to make sure that a key requirement is that if it is a government-funded project or an NGO-led funded project, they should center youth voices or involve young people as a key component of that kind of funding they give. And for youth civil society, their advocacy that they keep doing, we also emphasize that they should continue to do that and ensure that they help build the skills of young people and then youth organizations that are involved in this space of youth development and employment and education.
Now, meanwhile, senior research lead for decentralization and value chain specialist with the Associates for Change, Dr. James Natia Adam, raised concerns about the disparities and inequalities in the educational system.
The distribution of resources like ICT infrastructure and digital tools has not been at equal par. So if you realize from the study, so it shows that there's prospects between the urban and then the rural. Essence of inequality and access to some of these resources persist, and this is worrying, particularly for the girl child who is located in the deprived, extreme rural context. What is significant is that this study by the lead researchers together with the youth researchers have exposed further the disparity between the rural and the urban. What then is more important for us as stakeholders is to dwell on the research findings and advocate for equal distribution of resources, not only infrastructure like school buildings, not only ICT tools and equipment for the rural poor.
Starr Today. First, fast, and credible.
You are still listening to Starr today here on Starr FM, and it's now time for Campaign Trail. You're welcome once again to Campaign Trail on Starr today. And remember that we are your election hub. Good evening to you listening once again, and welcome again to your Campaign Trail on Election Hub. Remember, if you're live in Accra, you are listening to us on Starr 103.5 FM. In Kumasi, it is Ultimate 106.9 FM. In Takrade, Empire 102.7 FM. We are also representing live in Zebila on Zebs FM 92.9. And on Facebook, we are streaming on Starr 103.5 FM. Globally, it is starfm.com.gh. Welcome once again to Campaign Trail. Tonight, we sit for a conversation with flag bearer hopeful of the newly formed People's National Party, Janet Nabla. Your views and comments are always welcome via WhatsApp on 055 288 0216. It is 055 288 0216. This is your Campaign Trail. Thank you very much for staying with us. Before we get into that conversation, let's switch cams and go to the quarters of the NDC. And if you have been on the campaign trail, one thing you are certain to encounter are jabs and counter jabs. If you would recall, about a week ago, the Vice President and flag bearer of the NPP, Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia, described former President John Mahama as a second-hand president, impressing upon electorates to vote for him, a brand new Tiaraba president. While John Mahama has not directly responded to that statement, Mr. Mahama has given some tips on how to spot a liar, a dig aimed at Vice President after his just ended media tour.
When you do something with a devious intention, it backfires on you. We announced that we're going to launch our manifesto on the 24th of August. Immediately, our opponents announced that they were going to do a media encounter on the 25th of August, the very next day. You know, the intention for doing that media encounter the next day after we had announced our manifesto was to turn the attentions of Ghanaian from the NDC manifesto. That was the main reason that they decided to do a media encounter the very next day after we launched our manifesto. But you see, when you do something with devious intention, it backfires on you. When you do something with devious intention, it backfires on you. You know how to tell when somebody is lying. If there are people who are smooth talkers, who can speak rat-ta-ta-ta-ta-ta like machine gun, the time when they become stammerers and they start stammering, you know they are lying. Somebody who can speak ta-ta-ta-ta-ta-ta like AK-47, suddenly media encounter, I think, Ezu, ni money ji, money here is etolene yawo. Ezu, the person started stammering, and you can't tell the head or tail. The fundamentals are weak, and then he went logoligi, 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 logoligi. Ezu. And so you must do things with truthful intention. And the basic principle of leadership is truth and honesty. If you want to be a good leader, you must be truthful and honest to your people.
You just heard from our president, John Dramani Mahama, the given tips on how he says are very useful in spotting a liar. But let me come into the studio. And as advertised, we have seated in the studios Janet Nabla, flag bearer hopeful of the People's National Party. Janet, thank you very much for coming. Now, let me start off. Do you also think that tips Mahama gave are tips that can be used to spot a liar?
When it comes to these two presidential candidates, I don't even want to meddle in their affairs.
Why is that?
Because we are looking for fresh blood. We are looking for something new. We are looking for something that has never been touched before.
Okay.
And the two of them, I don't think they are the people Ghanaians are looking for. So I don't want to meddle in their affairs, especially when it comes to throwing jabs at each other. That is not what is important in this country.
Okay.
What is important is that Ghanaians are looking for policies that are tangible and can be able to deliver them from the miseries that they are in. And whatever they are doing is not solving that problem. So the two of them, I don't want to even go there. That is the reason why we are out. We are out to make sure that what the people of Ghana are looking for, they get it. And what they are looking for is redemption.
Okay.
And it has nothing to do with how to spot a liar and other things. They are both the same.
I see. And you think that you are positioned to rescue Ghana from the ditch in which it is?
We are, because when you look at us, the two of them are using our policies. That is the first thing that Ghanaians should realize.
What are your policies?
One of the policies that both of them are now talking about is price control.
Okay.
When the PMP immediately, the day that we got our certificate, that day we started with price control. We said inflation, the way inflation is going, there's no way inflation can be capped if we don't have a system in place like price control. Ghanaians now are forming associations and then to increase prices. People who are selling things, they buy, I went to buy a chair at China Mall, which was 68 Ghana cedis, and Guta and its members were selling it for 175. So when you have a system whereby people form associations to increase prices, and all what we do is to be trained jobs instead of looking at the actual situation, then you wonder how we are going to solve the problems of this country. Look at the cement manufacturers. When they took the deal to Parliament that they should reduce prices and then put a cap on prices of cement. Have you seen that both the MPP and the NDC, they refused to pass it? None of them. They were all talking about, we need to look at it critically, both from the MPP and the NDC
I
side.
think the issue was with the cement manufacturers who didn't want price control. They wanted prices regulated.
Who cares about them? This country, we never voted for them. They are here to do business and must obey the rules and regulations of the country.
Okay.
So if Parliament was to pass a law and to put them straight, Ghanaians would have been better off. Did they do that? No, it wasn't done when they were in parliament. So you realize that price control is something that will help Ghanaians. And the PNP, we started talking about it because we've realized that you go into the market and the bargaining power of the Ghanaian has been broken.
We will talk about the policies that the PNP is proposing. But one thing you said that caught my attention is the fact that you have received your certificates as a party.
Yes, we received our certificate as a party.
How old is the PNP?
Oh, we started, that was in April.
Okay.
We started in April with the turns, and finally...
So about 4 months?
Yes. Finally, they gave us our first certificate. And then they are saying that they are giving the final certificate. What we have done is that we form our... they wanted our regional... what is it called? Our regional executives.
Okay.
National headquarters, national executives, asked us to pay 40,000 Ghana cedis, asked us to bring 262 people from the various districts, asked us to do what? To set up regional offices, to which we have done.
Okay, you have satisfied all of these conditions.
To which we have done. Even though they are saying that they need 175 additional party offices from the districts, we are still doing that one. Even though the Constitution never said that. It says that you must have representation from the districts. Electoral Commission have decided to cap it that it means party officers. That one is debatable in court. But then, because we don't want any problems with them, we have decided to go ahead to do that.
So you are not satisfied with EC's requirements?
No, we are not. We are not. It is just to prevent people from contesting the duopoly, and this is not right. Our democracy, somebody is trying to set up a political party. You should not put up these impediments on the way of those who want to set up political parties. Why should we have a two-party system in Ghana? Ghana is too young to have a two-party system.
But technically, we don't have a two-party system.
We have a two-party system because the way things are being done in this country, the way the media gives so much light to both two political parties, like the way they do things to them, have created a two-party system in the country. And Ghana is too young to have a two-party system, because if care is not taken, a time will come when the two of them will come together and say that you come and chop for 8 years, I also come and chop for 8 years. And then they will do that, like the way Ghanaians are suffering and the two of them are at each other's necks, insulting instead of coming out with concrete measures. Listen to them talking about price cuts. We will do a tax cut. Tax cuts, they benefit producers. They don't benefit the consumer. But that is what they want to do, because they get their money from these producers, so they don't care about us. Things that will help the consumer are the price control thing that they don't want to even talk about. So that is the reason why EC should give opportunity for people who want to create political parties. Because you may be small, but your policies, I've just told you about how the two of them are picking our policies here and there. If we were not to be in place, where will they get those policies from? They would have continued to base their campaign on policies of insults, you see. So we are dragging them to think more than what they are doing. So when the two of them are insulting, we are telling Ghanaians these are the policies they should be looking at. These people are deceiving you. Look at what they should rather be talking about. So all these things will help in making sure that Ghana...
Dennis, I know you say that Ghana is too young for a two-party system, but there's a school of thoughts that we are not ready for a third force. I mean, how does that make you feel?
Ghanaians are ready for a third force. It's just
what is the indication that Ghanaians are ready for a third force?
For instance, wherever you go, when we were doing our campaigns in the polling stations, constituencies, you could hear people say that we just want to get a different political party from these two parties. That thing that one person wants to come to punish the other, not because of us. So we are looking for a third party so that we will move our ideas away from this politics of insults, politics of accusation, politics of all these things. But whenever they come to this in power, you will see that whatever they were complaining about, that's the same thing they are doing. People are tired. Ghanaians are not stupid. Ghanaians are very intelligent people, and they want a party that can come in to redeem them. And that party is not these two political parties.
Now, you say that Ghana is ready for a third force, but the third force, is it ready for Ghana?
It is ready for Ghana, except that they are putting a lot of challenges
When you say they, who are you referring to?
For instance, these two political parties have been in the system for such a long time. So when we talk about finances, they have finances.
Okay.
When we talk about exposure, they have exposure to be able to, how do I even call it? Raise funds. They have the exposure to raise funds. In fact, they have created concrete measures for themselves, thereby creating a whole lot of difficulties for any political party that wants to come into place. But believe you me, the end is now. The end is now. Because I know that no matter what, we all believe in a God that is just, a God that wants the best for society. And God, the Bible says that when the people of God, if you are a person of God and you are in power, the people rejoices. And a time has come for God to redeem his people. And this redemption, I don't think that it is MPP and NDC. Okay. I don't think so.
So you think it is PNP?
PNP. My family, my community, my motherland. You know, when you started, I did not even tell the people that this is our slogan. My family, my community, my motherland.
That's your party slogan?
That is our party slogan. We believe that there is no way someone can love Ghana if they don't love their family. And there's no way you can say that you love Ghana when you don't love your community. Look at what happened in Winneba. What type of tradition are we now putting in place that people can look at their own relative lying in the rains, and then someone picked the person and dropped the person at the community, and the community people came with cameras to snap the person, and the person cried until the person died. What type of tradition is that? Okay. This is not Ghanaian.
We will come to what is Ghanaian, but you say that we are ready for a third force, and you've also talked about how the NPP and NDC are well exposed, well financed, and all of that. The smaller parties, are they able to put themselves together? And I'm going to use your former party as an example, the PNC. You broke away from the party, and that party was relatively older than the PNP. So how do you intend to be on the same status quo with these big political parties that you talk about?
When you look at we breaking away from the PNC, it had to do with ideology. It has to do with integrity. Okay. Because politics is about integrity.
What is the PNP's ideology, political ideology?
They don't even, you see, the last time I'm
talking about the PNP, not PNC.
I think that they are, the PNP.
PNP, yes.
Oh, we are communitarians.
Okay.
We are communitarians. That's what I just explained to you.
Your mother.
We believe in developing the family. That is our belief, and that's communitarianism.
Okay.
Yes.
And you had an issue with PNC's ideology.
No, we have no issue with the PNC ideology. We just broke away, and the reason was because we did not believe in certain things that they believed in. They moved away from their ideology.
Okay.
They moved away from their ideology, and now they were in court. Every small thing. Whilst I was there, they took me to court for 7 or 8 times. I was in 8 or 7 different courts. Like, there will be a day I will be going to court for 2, like, I'll be having 2 court cases. Then you look at the issue, it was so. And the way the court judgment came, it that one to, in fact, how can the media know the outcome of a judgment before it came into place? So we just realized that no, these are not the type of people we are supposed to deal with. A person who have no integrity, who doesn't believe in justice, he doesn't believe in things happening the way it's supposed to. Oh no! It was unfortunate. So that is why we left.
Okay, so this is a publication that was available on one of our portals, and it says that Madam Nabla was suspended indefinitely from the party due to allegations of gross misconduct, insubordination, and incompetence. How do you respond to these?
So Ghanaians, when they hear these things, then you ask yourself, what did I do? They label the things. They label the things I did. And one of the things they said I did was that they said I took money from Electoral Commission, 30,000 Ghana cedis from Electoral Commission. You see, there was a 30,000 Ghana cedis that the party needed to pick from Electoral Commission. You know that campaign funds that amounted to 1.7 million that we kept in our party office was picked by that time, the one who was contesting, David Apasara.
Okay.
He took this money. As we speak now, he has not told us what he used that money for. So because of that, the 30,000 cedis from Electoral Commission, I went and collected the money. and I paid it into the account of Tamaledia, a PNC account. After it matured, I used the money to distribute to the 16 regions to pay their party offices. The rest of the money was used to pay our national office. So on our party's platform, they knew how the monies were spent. The reason why they accused me was because I did not leave it in the party's coffers so that that is the reason why. So you ask yourself why the party stood by me to the extent of leaving the party. They all left. They left because they believed that the people that were now in that party are not people they wanted to work with. How can I go and solicit for rice, 52 bags of rice, 50 bags of rice, and then I told you and you said I should go and bring it to you? And I said, but tell me, who should we share the rice to? I'm the administrator of the party, general secretary. Why will you tell me that I should give you the listen? The party says that I am the CEO of the party. So why will things be with me and I ask you that, who should I give it to? Tell me, give this one to this region. And you said, no, I should give it to you. How? Is it because I'm a woman? So I said, no. And distributed, I used my own money to distribute the rice to the various regions. I did that. So if you say that you are going to suspend me, and if they say misconduct, Ghanaians have seen that insubordination and what to call
gross misconduct and incompetence.
You see, Ghanaians have now seen that the entire PNC is an incompetent political party. Have you heard of them ever since I left? Have you ever heard of them? I was in that party working my ass, working hard to make sure that the party's name is always alive. I do things for free. I use my money to champion things without asking anything, because I believe that if you say you're a leader, you must live by example.
Okay.
I remember when I was a women's organizer, I formed this group, Coalition of National Women Organizers of Ghana, and there was an opportunity for us to go to US, and then I saw that the people that wanted to go were many, and we could not, the numbers, some people had to drop out. I dropped out. I, the one who formed, and allowed other people to go. That is what leadership is all about.
I see.
So some of these things that they say, you see, when God wants to deliver you and wants to let people know that someone is an incompetent person, he removes you from them. Now I've left, and Ghanaians have seen that they are actually truly super incompetent political party. Because where are they?
There are some concerns that breakaway parties are sponsored by the two major political parties. How do you respond to that?
I would say that it is not true.
You're not being sponsored by either NDC or NPP.
You have no idea the hell we are passing through when it comes to sponsorship. We are doing things our own. We are trying to change the minds of the Ghanaians that there is there's joy in trying to own the political party and picking it as yours. When you have one city and you contribute towards the party, when you have 5 cities, in fact, we are going to launch our campaign and then to show Ghanaians what we are doing, so that at the end of the day, no one will lie that we are doing money laundering or something, because we are using Ghanaians to make sure that this party becomes their own. Time has come for Ghanaians to sponsor their own political parties. Instead of allowing politicians to go and borrow money from other places to come and sponsor their campaigns, and at the end of the day, they will have to pay with so much interest that Ghanaians will have to suffer for it. We are saying that Ghanaians should sponsor our party and make it their own, so that at the end of the day, we don't owe anybody. When we come in and we are implementing our policies, there is no dissing. The only mercy that we will have is to have mercy on Ghanaians, that people should not kill them with high prices just because they sponsored someone. So that is what we are doing as a...
But I mean, if you're struggling with finances, if I may put it that way, why don't you join other forces, to create a bigger third force? Have you thought of that?
Yes, we've thought of that. And then we have also looked at the political parties.
Okay.
It has to do with ideology. So when I see that you are preaching about, you are campaigning, you are roaming around, and you are talking, I listen to see whether the ideologies you are preaching, is that what I want to do? Because politics is about, look, it's a call, it's religious. When you look at pastors, you will see that some pastors were called to be preachers, others were called to be prophets, others are to interpret dreams. These people are they have specific things altogether that they were called to do. So if I have my ideology and I'm looking at what I think Ghanaians can be able to do to save them, and then you you also have a political party, and I've seen that your ideologies and my ideologies are not going the same way. Your campaign messages and your policies and what I believe in are not going the same way. At times, it's difficult for you to go in, because when you go in, your perception or all your ideologies, your policies of helping just die away, because the person you've joined did not believe in that ideology.
Okay.
And
So-
at the end of the day, when you do that and you go and fight, or you finally come out, they will say that, see, you went in and you came out, came back. But if the person is having same ideologies, preaching the preachings that we are looking at the vulnerable and thinking about the Ghanaian society to make Ghanaians better, believe you me, we will support such a
So you are
person.
all about ideologies. You won't even compromise.
No, it's not about compromising. We
Okay.
will compromise if your policies are for the ordinary Ghanaian.
Okay.
That is all what we are looking for.
Okay.
Because, for instance, the place I came from, if I want to look at the place I came from and where I am today, I can't talk, I can't even think. I can't think far, because I grew up in the most deplorable state that anyone can imagine. And I know, I don't want you to tell me the definition of poverty. Anyone who knows how to define poverty is not poor, because poverty has no definition. You have to feel it to be able to know.
Okay.
So if you are from that side, and wherever I'm sitting today, when I want to make policies, I want to make policies that those people, it can touch them. Did you see those things? Are you aware of all these things? So if you have your political party and you are running your campaigns, and your campaigns are not going in line with the way I think things should go, you will see that we have so many different political parties running in the system.
But I want to ask you one interesting question. Are you confident of contesting in this 2024 December polls?
We are more than confident.
Okay. You are also aware that the PNC wrote to the EC to prevent you from contesting.
You know,
how did you take that?
You see, so Ghanaians will now know who is the aggressor. Ghanaians will know who is the aggressor, because to us, we've never had, ever since we left based on principles. And we said because they have lost their credibility, that is why we left. And ever since we left, we've never turned back. We were shocked when we saw that they went and wrote a this thing that the PNP is for Liman. Who told them? You see, someone who doesn't even know his ideology, I told you, they don't even know where they came from. And these people that I'm talking about.
But do you believe in Liman's ideologies?
So much.
Okay.
I believe in
Is that what you're implementing in the PNP?
No, even if I'm implementing it, so do you understand? If I'm implementing Nkrumah's ideology are being implemented by both MPP, NDC, who, all the political parties in Ghana. Who are you to say that no one has the power to implement someone that they believe in policies?
Okay.
So when you look at what they were fighting for, you didn't see Electoral Commission, the letter. They said the PNP is a name that is vacant. Anyone who wants it can use it. They told them, as they wrote to Electoral Commission, GNA went there to interview Electoral Commission, and they told them that what they are talking about is neither here nor there.
Okay.
Because this is a name that is there for grabs, and we picked it.
Do you think that the PNC has let Dr. Liman down?
So much. They have left him down so much on several occasions, because as we speak, they were not following his principles. If you follow the Liman principles, you will be thinking about more and more policies to be able to help this country. Apart from Dr. Edward Nasigri Mahama, when he was there, he was campaigning based on principles, he was campaigning based on policies. And as a result of Dr. Edward Nasigri Mahama, we have national health insurance operating in Ghana today. We have school feeding operating in Ghana today. We have Ministry for Women and Children Affairs operating in Ghana today. We have Get Fund operating in Ghana today. Politics, as I told you, is about policies. Politics is about policies. So if you are not able to bring policies to impact or to change the lives of people, what is the use of being there? And the rest, that is what they have been there doing. I have not seen anything.
Okay. Let's now zoom into the PNP properly. So you say politics is about policies.
Yes.
Apart from the first policy that you stated, what other policies is the PNP preaching?
You see, this policy, one of the policies we spoke about had to do with 2020. It was in 2020 when we were going for the 2020 elections. In fact, that time, we came out with a policy about women.
Okay.
We said Ghanaian women are being taken for granted, because when you look at policy, this in political parties coming out with their campaign messages, they are always silent on what they will do for women. Very, very silent. Although women constitute more than 50% of Ghana's population, they've been so quiet about policy.
About women.
So we said that, why is it that we have majority of women in the retail sector, but we don't have any bank, any government bank that have been designated to give them loans? For instance, GCB, we have National Investment Bank. What prevents these banks from giving loans to women so that with low interest rate to do their business? Because research has shown that women are capable, usually pay loans more than their male counterparts. Why haven't we tried to do that, but have left these women in the hands of microfinance
you've
agencies?
heard the NDC preaching widely that they are bringing a women's bank for women.
That is that you see what they do.
Are you going to say that they stole your policy as well?
They just it's not like I'm saying it. It's true. Go to 2020, you see that we came out with. In fact, we talked about even designating banks like ADB, GCB, or National Investment Bank. So we already have their banks. Why do you want to bring a women's bank? You remember some time ago there was a bank that was called a women's bank. There was a bank like that women's bank. Where is that bank now? So if government wants to help women, government doesn't have to create a new bank.
Okay.
They just have to make sure that commercial bank or National Investment Bank is the one doing that. When they go and create a new bank, another government will come, and then the bank will just get missing into the system, and then they will do other things. But when you make it like a policy that commercial bank, look at ADB, it gives loans to people who want to go into agri. So why don't you use either commercial bank or National Investment Bank to do that? Because
so
that
in
was
essence, that policy by the NDC is a needless one.
It's not creating another bank. We don't because we came out with this policy, and this is how we were thinking that it can work. And the way they have gone with it, I don't think it will work. It will work.
Okay.
And then
you have said a bit of your plan for women. Let's talk about the youth. What are your plans for the youth?
So we have always believed that the youth are the engine of growth for this country, and we have majority of youth that are all over the places without jobs. Why? Because of what we study in school. When you go to school, into social sciences, you see a whole lot of people in there doing majority of courses. When they come out, getting jobs becomes difficult. So we are saying that let's start from that side. And apart from that, we have to introduce something to our schools, that will help.
Specifically, what exactly?
Apart from, as Dr. Mahama would say, apart from thinking, ethics. Because when you're a youth and you complete school and come back out, and someone establish a business and invite you to come in to work there, and you comes in and you have a notion to be able to get rich very quick, and then you start doing things that you are not supposed to do. At the end of the day, you are going to destroy the employment the person have provided, and you destroy your own future in addition. When we talk about corruption, I have said that it is not corruption is not a political thing. It is a Ghanaian thing. It's Ghanaians that
are corrupt.
It is not politicians that are corrupt. When you go to market and you see things that are happening, they are not politicians. You see, most of the things that we see happening are not politicians. They are just someone just like myself and you who does those things. So for us to be able to get jobs that will be sustainable for the youth, we have to introduce into them ethics.
So you say that the youth needs to be reoriented psychologically. Okay.
I work in a hospital, and we employ this 24-year-old girl to be our cashier. And the girl came and started changing hairstyles and other things. And some of the colleagues, I thought they were jealous. They came and reported to me, and look at this girl. And I said, I'm happy about it. Her life is being improved. If you want, also go and let your life be improved. Because when you are working, you are supposed to add something to your life. It was later on they came that anytime people come to pay money, like every day, he takes 500 Ghana cedis. Every day. In fact, the day that we sacked her, she brought about 4,100 Ghana cedis That day, no, she brought. So you see, I was sad, and she's not the first person. In fact, about 3 people have gone as a result of that. We picked a driver, and the driver came in. All what the driver did was that we were going to bank, and the banks closed. So we kept the money inside the car. He came back and took the money and ran away. Okay. As we speak now, we don't know where he is. So you see, the youth, we are looking for people who know, who are supposed to be patriotic. When you are patriotic to the country Ghana, and then they pick you anywhere, you are not just thinking about the money aspect. You are not just thinking about how to get rich quick. You are also thinking about how to develop your country. So I think that the youth, we have to create jobs and more jobs, but not government. I don't, because look at our way this in bill. When we make sure that we have lower interest rates, a lot of people can be able to create more. Private sector will be able to get loans to create more jobs, and the youth will get this in. So we will do public-private partnership when we come.
Okay. We'll talk more about your policies, but when are you launching your manifesto? I believe that will give you the bigger platform to, unpack all of these policies that you have for Ghanaians.
Yeah. And on this Sunday, just this Sunday.
Just a Sunday?
Just this Sunday, they will, 2 of us are contesting, myself and Dr. Ayensu. Okay. So the National Executive Committee of the party came out on Sunday. They met on Sunday, and there's a communique that is out that they want to deliberate with the 2 of us. When they come, they will talk to the 2 of us and then get an understanding.
There won't be a congress held to elect either of you?
No.
There's going to be a conversation soon?
Yes, they said they are going to deliberate with us, and then even though we are now doing we are doing side talks with them, but that's what we heard. They said that they will come and then talk to us because the party is too young. Immediately, they announced that we should go into a contest. That was where problem started. People started, and it wasn't easy at all. So they said they will go into deliberation to talk to us.
We are about wrapping up, but what you just said just takes me back to my earlier position that, if your party is new, you say that the bigger parties are well exposed and well resourced, and it's about 4 months or so to the elections. We have seen their manifestos, and a smaller party trying to break even. We don't know what you want to do for the country. I mean, what is the future looking like for you?
Okay, so you know that people like new wives. That is the reason why when a man marries a new wife, he loves that new wife, and then will be staying with the new wife and will marry the old wife again. You know that.
So that's your mindset?
No, not mindset. Not mindset, because the old one has done so many things that are so disadvantageous that he has seen. So it's the same thing that will happen over here. The PMP, we are coming out with our policies. I just told you that we are going around preaching about price control. Okay. The problem of Ghana has to do with high inflation. And when we are able to use price control to cap inflation, turns will work. Okay. That is what we believe in. And this is what we've been preaching. It's not today. We've been, ever since we started with a party, it came with this price control. We will abolish the free market economy and adopt price control. That is what we've been preaching. We've been talking about, I'm a woman. And I know that when women are well-resourced and women are empowered, Ghana will grow. Okay, since 1950.
Unfortunately, because of time, I just want you to give out your final words to your supporters. I believe that they are listening. I mean, people that you say are tired of the duopoly between the NPP and NDCI. What does the PNP have for them?
So, PNP, we've said it and we are saying it again. Ghana is a country that is full of resources, that we should not be in the situation that we are in now. We need to break out of this struggle. And the PNP is the only political party that can redeem Ghana from the situation that Ghana is in now. One of the things, I wanted to even say it before you listen. We know that women constitute more than half of the population of this country. And we have 25% of women being single mothers in this country. And we think that when we are voted into power, what we will do is to make sure that we provide allowances for struggling single mothers. We have single mothers who are better off and they don't need any money. But we have people who are struggling. The reason why Ghana is the way it is that we don't have patriotism, that people go anywhere and they want to amass wealth for themselves, is because we have 25% of our population that are single mothers. Majority of these women.
How much are you looking at giving these struggling single mothers?
When we talk about allowances, we are going to pay maintenance and pay school fees. Maintenance for the upkeep of the child and school fees. Because, let me finish. Because majority of these children, parents, their fathers ran away and left them. It's not like we are going to do this so that men will now be impregnating women and be running. When we pay allowances and take it, immediately you run away and leave your child. Government comes in immediately. The child should not suffer because the man ran away. Okay. And then we will leave the man in the hands of the government. Because now, Ghana, they have left the men in the hands of the woman. If you cannot find the man who impregnated you, they will not support, then you will go and support yourself. But we are saying that we should take that burden and put it on government. Okay. So that government takes care of the woman and then look for the man when he's caught. Then they make him to pay for everything. And if he cannot pay, just as the white people are doing, you go to jail. This will help men to be using condom, especially those who are not yet ready, to be using protection, and also make sure that Ghana, we don't give birth to children who will suffer and struggle for no cause of theirs. This country, no child deserves that.
Right. Thank you very much. I've been speaking to the flag bearer hopeful of the People's National Party, Janet Nabla. You heard her there. And like I always say, that the final decision lies with you. This has been it for Campaign Trio on Starr Today. You are still listening to Starr Today. Up next is Sports with Benghazi. He's here with the very latest. Benghazi, good evening.
Good evening to you, Tutuwaa. Now in sports, today was a day for the GFA to hold its ordinary congress. Been ongoing for some time now. In fact, from yesterday at Pram. And President for the GFA, Keto Kreku, the Congress grounds today has appealed to government to give the association yearly seed funding to help them implement its sporting projects. Keto Kreku, who was speaking at the GFA's Congress held at the Pram grounds today, emphasized the importance of youth development, refereeing, and coaching education for football development in Ghana.
Government to provide the GFA with seed funding per year to help us implement our women and men's football strategy, especially at the grassroots level. The establishment of dedicated funding for sports and football has always been a topic. Indeed, it is something I know is dear to the heart of our sector minister.
And that is the Keto Kreku, who is the president for the Ghana Football Association. Of course, Angola, who will be our opponents in the upcoming qualifiers in AFCON next month, have released their official squad for that qualifier to be played in Kumasi on the 5th of September. Meanwhile, we are still awaiting the squad by Coach Otto Addo, who is already in town though, but the squad is yet to be released by the GFA. That's it for sports.
Thank you very much, Benghazi, for those sports updates. Before we go though, let's take some updates from the foreign fronts now. The Nigerian Association of Resident Doctors, NARD, has begun a 7-day strike to push for the rescue of a Kaduna-based doctor, Dr. Ganiat Pupula, who was kidnapped in December last year and has spent about 8 months in the abductor's den. According to the president of the association, Dr. Dele Abdullahi, the association is well aware of the consequences of the strike, but will stand with their decision until their calls for action have been answered. And that wraps up Star Today here on Star FM. Thank you very much for your company. For more news updates, log on to starfm.com.gh. I am Tutuwaa Danso. And a special thank you to my production led by Edem Kojo Prince Essien and Benjamin Saki. And Emmanuel Donko was responsible for you seeing this broadcast on our social media platforms. I'll see you tomorrow with more news updates. Have a good evening.